topic if there is one or two topics that or scenarios that we come across at work, is it okay to discuss with you?
Yes, yeah, you can chat first, and based on the availability, we can discuss it more.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I think let's get started. So hello guys, let me share my screen. Yeah. So just a second. Yeah. So after seeing the Python and Bash components and the behavior of the variables, right, either copied or shared, now uh, uh, as we are towards the end of this session, so now we'll see how can we load the JSON data or JSON file, okay, and basically how can we transform that JSON data into the flattened one, okay. So yeah, so I have one sample JSON file. If you see, it is this is an weekly expense file, right? So there are roommates, and they they spend some amount on weekly basis, right? So let's say I have a Joey. So this is who is an attribute. So I have Joey. The details are like he is a marketing executive professional, and his age is 30, right? And then I have a weak array, right? So in JSON, right? This array, that means it can contain multiple elements, correct? Right? Then within that week array, for a week number 3, Joey has spent $18, let's say, on beer, $12 on food, again $19 on food, and $20 on car expense. Okay. Similarly, uh, right? This is for one week, right? There is week number 3. Again, in week number 4, he has spent some amount, like again 19 on beers, 16 on beers, 17 on food, like that. Okay. Again, he spent something in week number 5 as well. Okay. Similarly, he's met who is Beth. Uh, so he is a software developer by profession, and his age is 28, right? And he also spent few money uh, during a month, right? So in the week number 3, he has spent only $16 on beer, and then on week number 4, um, and similarly week number 5, right? And the third mate, which Janet, so he's a student by profession, his age is 23, and then he has done some expenses there as well. Okay, so this is what my data looks like. Okay, so this is JSON data. So as I said, this is an who, these are details. So within the details, again I have the sub JSON or sub object, right? So professional and age, and week is an array. Okay, clear on the data set part?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see now how to transform the data. But yeah, to transform that, we'll first try to load this data to Snowflake. It is already available on S3. Okay. Okay. So as usual, to load data from like any external storage, we use this. From the S3, we use the S3 load component, right? So I already uploaded that file to S3. Let me show you the file once. Yeah, within this bucket. Okay, it seems I did not upload. Okay, let me upload that once. Yeah. So this is the weekly expense JSON file. Okay, so I will do is weekly expense dot star. Um, yeah, so when you load any JSON data or any JSON file, right? So that gets loaded into a single column, single variant column. Okay, so we already have created one table which is called weekly expense stage, and that contains a single column which is called expense, and that the data type is variant, right? So it can store the JSON data. We will select that
What's data type?
variant.
How big can it store?
No, yeah, it can store anything. It can store the JSON data basically, the JSON document or the XML document.
As big as like a club or 64,000, 100,000 bytes.
Yes, yes, yeah, it can store that. So this is Snowflake data type, right? Variant.
Right.
So variant is used to whenever you have semi-structured data to store that you use the variant column data type. Okay.
Okay.
Now in the file type instead of you know selecting CS we will select JSON. Okay, that's it. Then there are different options on the JSON side. Uh, Allow duplicates, strip outer array, strip null. So these are all are like JSON specific you can say properties, and that you can look into the help as well. What all things are available. Okay, so yeah, uh,
Can you go
like
back on the
instead,
property, please, one
yeah,
second?
yeah,
So where do you specify that you're reading from? Okay, file type is JSON. Okay.
yeah, file type is JSON. Yeah. And these rest are the default values. We can keep at it as it is the way for CSV we have some of the default values. These are the default values I have given. Okay. So only difference is I need to mention here as a JSON. If I run it, yes, it has got three records loaded. Why three? Because we have these three objects. Okay, though this is the first object for Joey. Right, we starts here and ends here. The next is Beth, and the final one is Janet. Right. So these three records got loaded. Right? Now, if I see the data here, yes. So if you see, I have got the details, right? So this is for Joey, this is for Janet and Beth. Correct. So this is how you can load the JSON file to Snowflake. Okay, it is pretty easy. I mean, you can do it in just matter of selecting this, and if you have to select any properties, you can do that. Importantly, we'll see how can we transform the data now. Okay, so let's say JSON flatten. Okay, now what I will do, I will select the table input component, right? And I will select my table as weekly expense stage. Column, we just have one column. We select that. See sample, yeah, we can see the sample here, like this, correct? So uh, now if we need to extract the data, right, from this JSON, we have different component. Okay, we have flatten variant, we have extract nested data, right? So what we'll do, we'll try to use the one component, two component basically. One is flatten variant and another is extract nested. So they both are used with a JSON and XML type of data type or data. Okay. So what I will do, I will use the flatten variant. Okay, flatten variant is used to extract the data from JSON, right? Okay, so let's say if I need to extract the details value, so what I will do, I will select the details as an attribute, and it will give me this sub object or sub JSON. Okay, similarly, if I need just an age, So what I need to do, give details dot age. Okay, right? If I need to select this who, I will select who, right? But to extract the sub elements or sub column of an array, there is a different procedure. Okay, so first we'll try to extract the outer attributes only. This one. Okay, so let's say okay, for knowledge I'm including this as S. I'm just showing this for illustration. Now what I need to do, this is a flattened variant. So this is nothing but the the snowflake syntax, as I said, right? And then it will prepare the snowflake query and it will give you the data, right? So in the flattened variant, what I'm doing now in the column mapping, okay, I'm adding plus. Okay, so what it is saying is which is your input column. So I just have one input column, right, which is expense, this one, right? Now property means from this input column what you need to select, right? So from this, let's say I need to select foo, right? Foo property, I mean foo property. So the value of the foo will get property. So I will select foo. Okay, this value. So what varchar you need to you can give anything. Who underscore x or extract, right? Let's say this one for now. So let's say if you go to data, yeah, you see that Joey got extracted, then Beth, and then the Janet, right? So it has just extracted the value of that column, okay, which we are given in this attribute with the property, right? Similarly, what we'll do from the same column, we'll try to extract, um, let's say details, but let's say I just need a age, details.age. So what I will do, if I just give this details, okay, and let's say this is detail extract. So if I just do sample here, I will see, I will get age and profession both within because detail is in my object, another object, right? So I will, when I say details, it will fetch this, right? If I just need an age out of that, what probably I can do is I can write is the details dot age. Okay. Now if I do it, yeah, you see, age will got x. What happened? I think it's colon, details colon age. Yeah. So details colon, that is a you can say extract syntax within the snowflake, right? So here 30, 28 and 23, right? Now let's say I need to get another column which is just a week. I mean week, yes, week. So it will give me the entire array, right? Yeah. So this has given me the week array, correct? Expense and all. Now if you see the SQL, it is doing nothing but what it is doing is see to get the foo property, the syntax is expense dot colon foo, right? Explain colon details dot age and expense colon this. Okay, right? I mean, if I again go back, copy this and check in Snowflake, right? So the same output I will get. Yeah, you see, right? Even if I need to just write my, yeah, right? So it is the Snowflake syntax to extract the column from the JSON, right? Clear till this?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I mean, as of now we'll just say that, yeah, okay, maybe we don't need week as of now. We have just who and age, right? These two details. And yeah, Now what we'll try to do, let's say this yeah. Now so we have seen the include input column as S, right? So this is my input column, right? And um, now let's say if I need to flatten my week, okay, flatten means I for each element of this expense I will get a new row in my table. Okay, so to flatten any array data, what we use is we can choose the extract nested data component. Okay, so extract nested data is something if we need to get the extract the nested data. This is also another option, and flatten as well. Okay, so if I select this right now, if you see expense is my main column, right, which is this, correct? And okay, maybe if I do autofill for now, yeah, now it automatically give you the different attributes that it has, right? So if you see, yeah, it has details, correct? Um, so just a second. Why? Yeah, so it has details, right, as object, and then it within the details it has profession and age, correct? So details it has a variant, it is an age and this. Then at the last, if you see, we have who. So here we have who, correct? And now then what we have is a week, right? Week is an array element because it is in square bracket, right? It is an array. Then it says week and it's an array, correct? So now within the variant, within the array, we have week element, right? So it automatically picks this. Okay, we have week, within that we have week element. Element means this. Okay, this is my first element of the week, right? This is my second element, correct? Or this is my, let's say, index like array of 0. Second is array of 1 and array of 2, correct? Right? This is my element. And now within that, I have number, right? So yes, I have that number within the week element. And then I again have an expense as a variant here. You see, expense as a variant, right? And again within that, I have my expense element, this element. And within the expense element, I have amount and what, this one, right? So this
What is
automatic, mhm.
sorry for maybe some basic
No,
questions,
no.
right?
Mhm.
Array, uh, element, and variant, right?
Mhm.
These three things that you. What are those three things on a high level?
Yeah, so variant, it gives a, so see, week, and when you said variant, that means it's a either an array or it's an JSON object. Okay, now if you see details, right? So is details is a array? No, but it's a JSON object, correct? That's why it has given details and then it just data type as variant. Okay, right? That's a data type. For who? Whether it's an array? No. It's an JSON object? No. It is plain a single field, right? Or a scalar field. So, and that is a varchar. So at the end, if you see who, varchar, and this is just an alias that he has, Matillion has given. Okay, it is just extracting the data. So who has varchar? Details will be extracted as a variant, right? And week will be extracted as variant, but it's an array, correct? Right? An element means what? That see, within a week, right? Within week array, I have three elements basically, right? I have this first element, correct? Right? I have this second element of an array, and this is my third element, right? Okay.
Okay. Mhm.
So this is what it is saying. Week hyphen element. That means it is a week's element, right? What are the week element now? Within that week element, what all attributes I have? I have number and I have expense, right? So
Okay.
you see this as an expense. So expense again is an array. That's why it's an array within array, right? So expense again
Right.
an array. So again expense will have its own element, right? Right. So it's a
Okay.
expense again an array. Now again expense will have its own element. Wherever there is an array, there will be an element as well. Okay, and within that expense element, what I have, what an amount, right? And within the week element, I have that number as well. That is a week number. This, right? So this is just an autofill that it does. Okay, right? Now this is the simplest way, and now I can choose what all things I need. Let's say my details and age I don't need. Okay, I just need to flatten this element, right? And I need the you can say the elements of an array, that is amount, what, and number. Okay, I don't need anything else, so I can just select this as of now. And if I go to sample, okay, expand, I don't want to include the input columns. Yeah, yeah. Now if you see what amount, okay, who is not populated. Okay, who, yeah. And let's say I just select profession here now. So I go to simple. Now if you see, it has flattened my data, right? So Joey, who is a marketing executive, spent $18 on beer on week number 3, right? So earlier I had only 3 records in my table, and for usually your business users will expect to flatten that data, so it's easy to analyze. Right now it's pretty easy to analyze. This is plain a single column and rows kind of thing, right? Now that is what, it's easy to flatten your data. Now if you see SQL here, so if you have heard about the lateral flatten function in Snowflake, right, that is what it is doing. Okay, it is using lateral flatten. It is flattening the week first, and again from the week it got expense, right? From the week it got expense array, and then it is flattening that as well, expense. Okay.
Can you go back to the SQL once, please?
Hmm.
SQL time. Okay, so it's essentially what do you call this? Okay, it's the SQL that is
Lateral.
generated this particular
Mhm.
transformation.
Yes, yeah. For this component, this SQL got generated and is using the lateral flatten function. Okay.
You know the lateral flatten.
Yes. Lateral flatten
Where,
is used
where did you,
in Snowflake.
where did you select that option, the lateral flatten function?
No. So that internally this component is designed for lateral flatten only.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Now, in case, so as I said, this is the better way of doing. But in case if you need to do it manually by yourself, okay. So how can we do that, right? So yeah, sorry for that. Now, if I need to do it manually, let's okay. What I need to do is I need to right click on expense, right? Okay, and click on add. Right now, just pay attention here, right? Now, within the next space, what I have, who, details, and week, right? So let's say I need to extract who. So what I will give, key as who, right? Is that a variant? No, it's a plain varchar. So I will convert it to varchar. It's an array? No. Alias whatever you need to give, that's fine. Okay. So I am clicking who as in. Now, what is the next element? Next element, I need to get the details. So if I right click on add here, I will say details. Whether it's a variant, yes, it's a variant, but that's not an array. So I will keep array as false. Right now, from the details, let's say I just need to get profession or age. So what I will do, I will right click on details and add, and here I will say age. It's just a number, right? Now if I just see, okay, yeah, I got that right. I got who, details, and age. So similarly, let's say I don't see details. I just need an age out of that. Again, At the outer level, what we have another array as week. So right click, I will add, I will select week here. Yes, that's a variant, and now this time it's an array, right? Now to add within this week, I have the number and expense again. To add that, what I need to do, I need to click on add, and I will, yeah, now it's it. Now it will not allow you to add any key because we need to add an element, right? This element. So yes, now here the alias. Okay, let me click. Uh, yeah, add. mm, uh, 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 let's say, um, okay, it's a number. Array false. Okay, and number. Okay, I think I need to add a variant. And within that weak element, okay, let me check till this. Yeah, that is a weak element. That is, yes, that's correct. That's a weak element. So what I did, within that I add another variant, right? And I given the name as a weak element. Now within this weak element, I have number. So I'll right click, add. I will say number. So number is a number, right? Or I will say specifically weak number, right? I will say okay. Okay. Now similarly, after week number, I have again another array which is expense, right? It's an variant and it's an array, right? Again, I will add here. I will add an expense element. Yeah, expense element means this element, and within that I have what an amount. So I can again add. I can what add amount. You see here, this is an expense element. I don't need to select this. Sorry, I need to select the exact. Yeah, and now I'm selecting from week. I'm selecting number. Again, with number I have this expense, but I'm not selecting the entire array. I need just a flattened data. So with that, I'm selecting what amount, the number, which is an week number, and age and who. So I click OK now. How come week is coming there? Yeah, I selected this. Yeah, see. Now I got the flattened data. Right? So it is the same thing if we do using the autofill, or the same thing if you do it is using the manual. It's up to you, right? So the only thing is you need to just right click on that main column and then specify what I need to select. Okay, if I need to select this who, yes, I will just put who key and I will select the varchar. If I need to select the details, I will put the details here. I will show you one more time. Select, yes, that's a variant. Yeah, and it's not an array. That's it. Now within a week, if I need, again I have attributes, right? If I don't need to select, that's it. It will give me the my JSON document kind of thing as the details. But I just need, let's say, age. Then I will click on this because within that I have age, right? Within the details, I have age. So I don't need to click on here. I need to click on here, then add. I will say my next attribute is an age, but that's just a number, right? If I select this, yes, it will give me the age. Now, similarly, week uh, week, right? So week is on the outer layer, right? On this. So I will right click here, add. I will say week. Yes, week. It's an variant and it's an array, right? So I will make it as true. Right? So for any array element, we need to first add its element. So I would say week element first, right? So week element, now it's a variant, right? And then within week element, I have number and expense. So I need to right click on this and I will add number. Why week number? We did not get it. Within, there's a spelling mistake. You see week number. Okay, so this is how we can use extract nested data to flatten our basically the array elements. Okay. Now, in any question?
That's a bit confusing, but I haven't worked with JSON in the past, so I think.
Yeah. So as I said, that will be little little tough initially if you're not worked upon. But the best part is to do the autofill.
Yeah, but
That will
where
be
where are the typical scenarios where you can expect a JSON file from?
yeah. So from let's say you're getting some data from the API. Let's say your application team says that do not hit, since our data is less, so do not hit our database. But
They'll push it.
we will give you the API endpoint. So hit that,
Okay.
right?
Okay. And how big, typically, right? How big are these JSON files? Like how many records can they hold?
So see, if you're extracting the data from API, so API usually has the some limits, right? Because that many API calls over the network, that is little difficult. So usually we have data in thousands or max lakhs, but not in millions.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. But you don't need to worry about the performance of while extracting data. Okay, leave it to Snowflake. The better warehouse you use, it will perform the better, right? Because here is nothing to optimize. These are the simple lateral function which Snowflake is using, and that is the only option. So there is nothing to optimize in this query. Okay, so you can leave it to Snowflake for performance related thing. But yeah, what you need to configure is this, and that's also using autofill. You can do that. Right? And usually within a JSON, so we usually have the similar kind of structure, right? Not same, but similar kind of structure. It will automatically, you know, provide you that structure. Yeah, clear. Others, who are Ramana, Sudhakar.
Uh, Nitin, in general, let's say we as a consumer, um, if we wanted to request from provider, which is the best file format to request, I mean, in terms of performance and maintenance?
CSV.
Yes.
Yeah, text file, right? Never request them to push the JSON, because sometimes it may become difficult, right? So yes, the best is CSV option. But in case, as I said, right, through some API endpoint, if they want to share or if they are extracting the data from API endpoint, they will extract that as a JSON only. Then you will need to load this. Okay. Yeah. Right. So now it's pretty easy to analyze this data, right? Rather than querying your JSON. I mean, at least for the business users, right? That's why that is so powerful, I would say. That is Snowflake feature completely. Matillion has just integrated that in a component. But yeah, that's a really good feature of Snowflake. Okay. Now let's try this. Okay. Sure. You so you guys have your laptop with you, right? So you did not join from mobile, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have pinged you the today's this Matlin IP. Just log into that and create a let's create one orchestration job to get the JSON data. Okay. Maybe would you like to share, Fahad? Then I can explain again, so it will be better.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Yeah. So others can follow. Okay, Sudha, Ramna. This is once you do this right, at least one time, then it's easy for you. That's why I'm insisting on that. And guys, I would suggest do watch this video um, one more time. Okay. So once you watch it, then you will get again and again more things would be clear for you. Yeah. Yeah. Now
Can you see
go to
my
your
screen?
project. Mhm. So others can follow. Now just right click there first on the default and create a new orchestration job wherever you
Let
you
me
feel. If you Mhm.
let me switch to my version, right?
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, yours in different. Sure, sure, yeah, that's a good practice. Yes, yes. Now we'll basically load
All right.
the JSON file. Yeah, yes. Yeah, get the S3 load component. Yeah, you can directly connect. Yeah, select your S3 bucket. Give pattern as weekly expense, or let me ping you that maybe so that we should not misspelled. Weekly expense dot star. So you can copy it completely and paste it into pattern.
Where's that again? In the pattern, right?
Yeah, first select S3 object. Yeah, remove that dot star, then yeah, which is duplicated, and select your S3 bucket as well. Yeah, that's it. Click OK. Yeah, that is at the bottom. Mhm.
Okay, that.
Yeah. Now, yeah, give your target table. Select our. So we have already created that weekly. Scroll down. Stage weekly expense, something like that. Yeah, weekly
Weekly.
expense stage. Yeah, there is a stage table. It will have only the single column. And now in the file type, select that as a JSON. And scroll at the bottom, do force load as true in case if you want to load it one more time.
force load. Is that true?
True. Yeah.
What does this do one more time?
Okay. Yeah. So
What
force
is
load.
force?
So it is a property of Snowflake. So what Snowflake does, whatever the files which got loaded in Snowflake, it keeps track of those files. Okay. So that it can avoid the duplicate files to be loaded. Right. If you keep that force load as false, and if you try to load the same file again to Snowflake, it will not allow you.
Oh,
But
okay.
if you do it true, yeah, it will allow you. Usually we keep it as true, but yeah. So we should not, load the duplicate file. That we need to make sure by our logic, right? So
Yeah.
it's up to you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That is the only setting we need. Now just right click and run it. Yeah. Now, yeah. Now go to Snowflake and just check. Go to Snowflake Workbench. You will have to get your account name from your email. Do you have that? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right click and preview data. Yeah. Yeah. You see? So we got these three objects basically, or three JSON document, three JSONs within that document, right? Three element you can say. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go back to Matillion and let's try to flatten this. So to flatten this, we'll create a transformation job. I hope Ramana and Sudha, you were able to load this file. So if you are done, just create a transformation job. You can JSON flatten. Mhm. Yeah. Now bring in the table input component or input component. Yeah. Now our source will be that weekly expense stage. Let's just say table. No, no, no.
I was just copying that. Oh, we can
Okay.
select it. Okay.
Yeah, that just table input name, component name. That doesn't, whatever, you can keep your name as well. But target table name we need to select. The target is our source table basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have only one column. Yeah, select that. Here you will need to select the column.
Expense, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, click OK. Now just click on sample. First click on the component and then click on the sample. Yeah, you see
So okay, so this is like a like an array. Okay.
JSON data. Yes, like in JSON. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll use the flatten variant component. So search for flatten variant. Yeah, yeah, flatten. Yeah, connect them. Go to properties. Now here, yes, you say include input column as yes. Just say for now. And yes, this column mapping. Now click on plus. Now what we have that who details and week, right? So yeah, so that input column is expense and the property is, let's say we need to select who. So in capital you need to write WHO. Okay. Otherwise it's fine if you don't give, that's also fine. If you want to give anything, you can give it. Yeah. Then click plus. and click plus and add in like details, let's say expense, then details colon will take only profession. So put in the
Wait,
property.
so
No, no.
column name is expense or
Yeah, yes, that is our input column from where we need to extract our independent columns, right?
okay.
Yeah, so we have that another column as details, correct? So in capital details, this is case sensitive. Then colon will extract the profession from that. So profession, right? Profession. Yes, yeah. And give some alias to that, like profession or something. Yeah. Now click OK for now. Let's click OK. We'll yeah, go to sample. Just check. Yeah, see who won marketing executive. Correct? It got extracted. If you go to SQL once, now this is just this colon symbol, colon syntax. Right? That is to extract the element of an JSON. Okay, we have extracted the who. Then within an expense we have details, and within the expense within the expense I have the profession as well. So I have given expense colon details colon profession, right? So
Right.
that is just to extract the outer attributes. Now what about the flattening the array? So to flatten the array, what we'll use? We use the extract nested data component.
Does this go from weekly or from the flatten?
No, no, from flatten only. Yeah, because if you go to flatten variant once, see the extract nested data component needs variant column as a input. Okay, right? And which column we have as a variant? We have the expense as a column, which is a variant data type. Go to click on this metadata property. Yeah, here you select your we have that expense which is coming from our source, that is a variant column, and who and profession are the varchar, right? So basically this extract nested data needs the variant column as an input, okay? Because array whenever you have array, right? So array, that means that's a variant. Yeah, so yeah, input columns, maybe you can say no for now, we don't need to include. Okay,
Okay.
now go to data structure. Yeah, now here you can at least actually do the autofill if you want to do that, right? Right, so this has the whole structure of your JSON basically. So we have details variant, within that we have age profession, we have week as a variant. Again within the week we have expense, within the expense I have what an amount.
In this case, we haven't selected the week, right?
No, no, no. We that selection is for whether you want that column as an output column or not.
The week itself.
Yes, week itself, the week array.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it generally will select only the flattened column.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see the data, right? If I do that.
Yes. Go to sample.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. So that autofill is the best option. And as I said, in case that autofill is missing something, usually not, but in case if that autofill is missing something, then you can add that manually. That's also an option you have, right?
Got it.
Yeah. And
Great.
if you go to SQL, we will see that lateral variant as an function which is getting used.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And at the last, you can use the create rewrite table component, and you can rewrite to it some snowflake table.
Which one is the last component?
Rewrite. So we need to write it. Go to write category. Yeah. Rewrite table. Rewrite table is for create or replace table, right? We have used that in S3 type 2. Yeah. Now just click on that. Go to properties. I mean, if you need to, create or drop the table every time, then create and replace table kind of thing. If that table is already present, it will replace it. If not, it will create it. Okay. Yeah. Select your table. I mean, give it some name. No. No, that is just a component name, Fahad. We need to give
Right.
the
Right.
target table name.
Right. Right.
In case if you need, yeah, here give it anything. Let's say give it some name, target table name.
Anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like anything
Maybe you
from
can
here.
say flattened expense, flattened expense. You can
Okay, so
make it.
it's not from one of the existing Snowflake tables, but we can give any name and on runtime it will create that.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a rewrite table, right? So it will create and replace flatten underscore, let's say expense or JSON. Yeah. Now run it.
What about these things? Database schema and all of that?
Yeah. So these are default environment default, right? That so you know, right? Our environment default means whatever we have set in that environment, it will take the default. If you select, go back to that component and you can select it. Do we have the variables created for this environmental variables? You can select it. That's a good practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Environment
env general
default.
warehouse, you have that. No, no, no. env general warehouse. That you're selecting for warehouse, right? Yeah.
Okay. So
Properties
you're
where
saying, even if I don't do this, right? Just
Mhm.
because for that particular
environment.
environment,
Yes.
we have
Right click
already.
on that. Yeah, right click, do edit. Will show you. Click next. Click next. One more time. Yeah. Here if you see defaults, Snowflake defaults,
Okay.
right? So these are now available as a default values for your warehouse, for your database name, and for your schema. So even if you just specify, I mean, don't select that option and just keep it as environment default, that means it will take the default values of this warehouse name as compute WH demo DB and this
Yep.
public, right? Yeah. If you wish to select, as I said, you can select that use an environmental variables, right? Yeah. It has loaded flattened. Now see, 3 rows from the JSON flattened to 24 rows. Okay, right? Because we have flattened the innermost, the expense array, right? Expense on what and yeah, just refresh it. I think maybe click some outside. That's why everything is blue there.
Yeah.
Yeah, now refresh it on the top. You see, refresh button. Yeah, flattened something like that. Yeah, flattened JSON. Right click and see preview data. Yeah.
Okay. You make it sound so easy when you're when you're working and creating the task. You just make it sound so easy, but when you actually start working, it takes quite some time to go through that.
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct, correct. No, so as I said it, so I mean, as you start practicing more and more, that is all. But yeah, that component is like pretty good. So I feel because I had worked on one of the complex JSON, and instead of creating the manually the mapping, I just did the autofill, and it has just filled everything for me.
Within the
So
autofill,
mhm.
once you select the autofill, can we edit the name of those fields? Let's say
I
rather than
think
having to.
yes, I think yes. Go to Matillion. Let's see. I have also not tried that. Second component, extract nested data. Yeah, data structure.
That am I able to edit
Um,
one of these for you?
edit. Yes, yes, yeah, you can. That is what, right? At the
Okay.
alias, give profession underscore new. Let's say. So key name should be same, whatever available in your document, and alias you can change. Yeah, click OK. Yeah, you see the profession new. So this is the same thing what we do manually, and if you want to edit it, you can edit,
Got it. Okay.
right? Yeah. Okay. Any question, guys? Here? Yeah, maybe you can stop sharing.
Nitin, like we have created two jobs, right?
Yes.
First job, orchestrated job. Second job is transformation job.
Correct. Right.
Actually, like we are reading file, we are reading JSON file and loading
Hmm.
into target database.
Yes. Yeah. But
First job,
we are loading that as a in the staging area as it is JSON structure, right? But you so right, it is pretty hard to understand for business users, right? Or get the query to JSON table. So what they are asking is, can you flatten me? Flatten me the data. So that's why
Flatten means I cannot understand what is that flatten means.
flatten means we are flattening the data. So okay, yeah, okay. So if you see, this is a JSON like data that we have loaded from file. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is target is table, right? Database table, this one.
Yes, yes, yeah. So see, from our this load component, what we did, we read the weekly expense JSON file, and we have loaded that into weekly expense stage, right? So whenever a JSON file gets loaded, it will load as it is. It will not do some any transformation or anything. It will load as it is. Okay, like this structure. Okay.
Like the structure can be loaded to table
Yes, yes. That is what happened here. If you see,
in single
yeah.
column. It like
Yes,
it
that is what I said. Yes. So wherever you want to load any JSON file, you will have to create a table with a single column, and its data type should be variant. Okay. Then it will load the JSON file into 3 rows. Why here 3 rows? Because it has 3 elements. So if you see, this is the first element for Joy. Kind of first row, you can assume first row. This is the second row for Beth, right? And this is the third row details for Janet. But it will not, give us as a row and column, right? It will not flatten this data. Now it is giving me the as a JSON only. This is the first row, second row, and third row. Now right, to understand or to analyze or create any Tableau report on this JSON, it's pretty difficult, correct? So what business users are asking is, if you can, give me a normal usual row and column like structure, the way we have, let's say here, right, in orders. This kind of structure, can you give me? I don't want to see the JSON. So what we are doing now, we are flattening this JSON. Okay, flattening means we are extracting these elements from the JSON and we can storing them as a column. If you see, like what an amount, okay, if you see, I have stored them as a column. What, number, who, profession, right? This is what the flattening, right? We're just flattening the data or extracting. You can say extracting if that is confusing you. What I'm doing, I'm extracting each column. Let's say age, profession, then amount, what, then who. I'm extracting each attribute of my JSON as a different column when I flatten them. So this is how my data will look like, right?
In
So
other
now,
words, can you just say you're trying to convert a JSON to a CSV file?
kind of thing. Yes, yes, kind of it is JSON to CSV file.
Nitin, I have something else to let me share my screen.
Yeah, what is that about?
This is about flattening
Okay, the same
our
example you are saying.
yeah. I have little confused
Yeah,
here.
sure, sure. Yeah, you can share.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah,
So
yeah. So you did it correctly, actually.
what else I have to do here?
No, no, that is fine. Just to extract that. How can we extract the element of a JSON? We
Mhm.
have the property called who details dot age if you need. That's it. Nothing else. Yeah, if you need to have that, so that's it. No, no. Remove that bar. So you have that at the bottom, right? That's sharing bar. Remove that towards something. Yeah. Now click OK or cancel. And now always, guys, you see, if you can go back again, click on that part. Property. Yeah. So guys, just one thing here. Now let's say if you just open this property and if you don't change anything into this, okay. So instead of clicking OK, always do cancel. Okay.
Okay.
Why? If you do OK, then it will again trigger a validate event. Okay. But however, you
Mhm.
have not changed anything, right? So why to trigger a validate event? So just click OK here for now, and you will see on the right. Yeah, click OK.
Yeah. It is evident.
Yeah,
We
it
have
is again
seen it.
validate, right? So
Yeah.
again a validate event is triggered, right? So if you have not changed anything, make sure that just click cancel instead of OK. It's just a practice. It will not
Okay.
harm anything, but yeah.
So what else I have to do here?
No, here we are not flattening that because it is pretty little difficult to flatten here. That's why we
Okay.
are using the extract nested data component. Yeah.
So when I was trying to autofill this structure, it is not, at least one column must be defined.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
saying.
So click cancel here first. Go to your flatten variant component. Yeah. Select include input column or let's do one thing. Go to column mapping.
Column. Okay.
Yeah. Click on plus. So here also click expense, and within that we have that week as an array, right? So type in week. Yeah, and give its type as variant. As I said, that extract nested data component needs a variant as a input. Yeah, week expense. Yeah, click OK. Now go back to nested data, extract nested data, data structure. Yeah, it came, right? Why? Earlier you were not having any column which was defined as a variant. So this extract nested data component needs a variant column to be input. Just do autofill here.
Yeah, I did that.
At least one column must be defined. Okay, that's not an element. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's cancel this. Go back to your flatten variant and select input column as S. Yeah, because that will give us our main original column, which was expense, right? That will give us, and that is a variant. Now go back to extract nested data. So here as well, no, click cancel. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Should I?
that that's no, that is fine. Now you see that expense column get auto filled,
Correct. Yeah.
right? So yeah, then click OK. Now you can go to, yeah, click on sample, check that. You see we can all, right? You got week expense because that also you have selected. Yeah, just click on flatten variant once. Go back to column mapping and yeah, delete the last one. You need to select, yeah, click OK. Now again go back there and select include input column as no in the extract nested data. Go to extract nested data. Yeah, no, include input column is the columns which are coming from the previous component, but we don't need that. We are flattening that here, right? Yeah, click on that. Now click on sample. Here. Yeah, you see all the data got flattened within the JSON. Now it is our normal, as far as it's CSV like structure, normal table like structure, right?
So initially we missed this thing. Include
Yes,
input. Okay.
that's true. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, now you can use rewrite table or anything. Rewrite table is the best way. Yeah, and give it any name. Uh, yeah, that A you should not have JSON, just JSON. Yeah, JSON. Remove A.
Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So we
we
are
have,
doing this JSON to structure.
yeah, structured, right? Or kind of JSON to our normal rows and column kind of thing, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Now right click and run it. So these are pretty, these are like kind of a snowflake function, right? As I said, at the end it is loading it is querying our snowflake data or using the snowflake function, right? Yeah, we got 24 records, right? You can go back and check in your snowflake if you want. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Nitin.
Yeah, sure.
We can use for the variant table also we can use the truncate.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So no. See, since we have used the rewrite table option, right? So that will get truncated automatically. So you don't need to explicitly truncate, but truncate your stage table. So put that SQL script component prior to S3 load component.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I must have placed here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And truncate your that weekly expense stage. I think you will need to first delete the link. Delete the link first. Yeah. Delete that link. Delete the link from start to S3 as well. Yes. Now join from start to SQL script and SQL script to S3. Yeah. Okay. And you can write
Sure.
truncate table your weekly expense stage. Yeah. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Uh, Matillion API. Yeah. The last thing, and actually this is pretty important, that I want to cover is on the Matillion API. So let me first log into EC2 machine. So this is like, a very huge topic, but yeah, I will try to um, cover what is, at least important and what will give at least some start on that. Yeah. Now let's say I have logged into this Matillion. Okay. Now, actually, what happens is Matillion provides some of the API endpoints, okay, to manage the Matillion or manage the jobs or manage the project. Okay. So if you see API is nothing but it's just an URL kind of thing, right? Okay. So let's say this is my API. Correct. Right. If you can go on mute. Yeah, thank you. So if you see, this is a kind of an API. It is an API endpoint, right? So this is my IP address of my Matillion. This is a REST kind of API. Then my group name is, let's say, MTLCD. Project name is MTLSF, and then all these things. Okay,
Like endpoint means like actually like you are taking directly URL, like endpoint
URL
means
kind of thing.
actually
Yes, that
only
is a URL.
URL, right? You are taking only URL.
Yes.
What is endpoint?
No,
Endpoint
no,
means
that's not a URL. But yeah, let me show you. There is a one. There are a structure when we use the Matillion API. So if you go to documentation, right, search for Matillion ETL or Matillion API, V1 API, you will see. So with everything, right? So this is a base URL or URI. Okay, this is my instance address, then REST V1 and then endpoint. Now what all endpoint what we have? We have these many endpoints. After V1, that means after V1, we can have the API profile endpoint. We can have audit. Specifically, we will interact with this. We can have that group and then group name. Okay, so if I if I want to take this, so what it is telling that this is my API Matillion IP address. This is my REST V1 is a common, and then within that I have group and name. Okay, so what is saying API concerning entire groups within the Matillion. This includes accessing data, importing, exporting, enter Matillion ETL project. Okay, all these things. So this is a group API endpoint. Okay, now if you see, if I need to take an export of my job, so let's say here if I show you, I'm taking an export of my DIM airport setup. Okay, and at the end I have write this export as well, export, right? So how I need to write is I need to go to group, then name. Okay, that is my group, then name. Then what is my group name? Uh, within Matillion, my group name is MTLCD. Correct. So this is my
yeah.
MTLCD. Mhm.
Nitin, actually, like for example, like can you please explain like a simple example? Like for example, I have a URL, like I
No,
have a
no,
web page.
no. This is not a URL. This is a kind of URI. This is a different code
Uh,
than URI.
like not Matillion prospective. Normally, generally, I'm asking like for API, what is the what is the requirement? How can we reach out the functionality? What we need to do? For example, like we are reading data, or what we are
No,
doing?
no, we are not
Which
reading
is
data. That is what I'm saying. First, what I'm trying to explain is the internal Matillion API that Matillion has provided. Okay, so
normally API concept. I'm asking about API means what is the functionality? Like what you're going to do? That is what I'm
yeah,
asking. Nitin.
yeah. So let's say, yeah, API is, see, API is again a kind of URL only. Okay, let's say if I have this API endpoint, right, which is giving me the IP ranges JSON. So if I hit that API, see what I'm getting? I'm getting the JSON export of that, right? My IP prefix, region, service, network border group, similarly others and all.
Can you show once again initially like you are at URL, right?
No, no, this is only no. I just taken that from some sample AWS. You can say uh,
Network. Okay.
AWS site basically. That's not a API. Okay, this is not a API. Don't assume that as API. My API endpoint is this, which will give me the
Yeah.
JSON.
Normally, like if I take any website, how can you know endpoint from website?
No, no. So that your source team will provide because they will design what should be my endpoint. It's okay.
So
We will not.
when you say endpoint, right? So just like if I'm getting data from a particular source system, and let's say in a typical CSV fashion, instead of getting that data in a CSV fashion, some source team is providing me data in a JSON format, and rather
Yes.
than uh, them providing it to my FTP server or whatnot,
Yeah.
they're gonna provide it at a URL location, and that is what you're
Yes.
calling as endpoint.
Yes. Yes. That's correct.
And that endpoint is actually going to point to a JSON file, but on the web.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It will extract a JSON file and it will. So based on the API design functionality, so they will just provide you, yes, hit this API endpoint and you will get your data, JSON data or XML data.
Yeah, normally for example, if I wanted to read data from any website, so actually instead of they are not at all providing any URL,
Database access.
uh, they are
Yeah.
they are providing like endpoint.
API
Endpoint
endpoint.
is nothing
Yes.
but which is going to point a JSON file
Correct. Correct. Right.
for,
That's
for
true.
particular URL website.
Correct. Correct. So, but see, within a website, there can be hundreds or thousands of API endpoint, right? Okay. If you take an example of Facebook, I can have one API endpoint for getting the post, one endpoint for getting the video data, right? So there is not that only one endpoint will be there, and usually the endpoint will be
Like
designed by your application team.
can you take any simple one only one two endpoints which contains
No, no,
kind
I
of
will. Yeah,
example
yeah,
actually.
yeah. So I will try to explain that later.
Normally I'm new for everything actually, like how process and what is the use and how people will do. I'm completely new. That is what I'm asking clearly. I'm not clear on this actually. Like if you take only where website, for example, small any normally which contains
Okay,
as
yeah.
per our discussions only one or two endpoints just to understanding my
Okay, okay, okay. Sure. Okay, then let me cover that first. Actually, that I had a last discussion. But yeah. So now, okay. So let's take the same AWS example. IP ranges. Yeah. So let's say I need to get the IP ranges of AWS. Okay, and AWS. So let's say that is my source system. They are saying that we will expose your IP ranges on some API endpoint. Okay, we will not give you our database access. So, and they have given me this as an IP, this as an API endpoint. Okay, so if I need to get that data within Snowflake, okay, using that API endpoint, now what I need to do, definitely what I will do, I will try to create one orchestration job. Okay, let's say 99 uh, get data from API. Okay, right, and now to extract or to get any data from API, we need to use API query profile. Right? The way we use our database query component, RDS query component, to get the data from any custom API, we need to use the API query component. Okay. So here the same thing. We need to provide the source detail and target detail. Again, correct. Right. Now, but here the first thing you need to do is you need to configure your API endpoint. Okay. I mean, right. Basically here it will not ask you for any source and target. I'm sorry, your source and like other details. But here we need to configure that profile. And to configure that, what you need to do is you need to go to project. You need to go to manage API profiles. Okay. And within that manage profile, you need to go to manage query profile because we need to query to that API endpoint, right? So go to query profile. Now here already they have given, different API endpoint for Facebook, Jira, Twitter and all, right? If you go to Twitter, you will see this all. These are all endpoint or RSDs, right? Schema definition. Okay. So if you say that, okay, add accounts, right? So if you query the API endpoint for add accounts, it will have these attributes: ID, name, approval status, created, updated, time zone, deleted, and salt. Okay, these kind of attribute that you will have. So this is a kind of schema definition file you can say for that API endpoint. Okay.
Nitin, sorry to interrupt you here. I'm gonna have to drop off because I have to join a work call. But can you share this video at the end of this?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is the last topic, and I will share that. It's pretty easy. Okay, so you
I'll
can
go
watch
through
the
the
video
video.
and you can get back if you have any question. Okay.
Yes, and I think I'll follow up with either you or Azhar about keeping the access on the Matillion server for some more time after these sessions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's say if you want to practice this weekend, I can keep it on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, perfect. I'll communicate through Azhar on that.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much, Nitin.
Yeah, thanks. So now what we'll do here, as I said, right, our API is a custom. We are not fetching from Twitter or Google or Jira or anything kind of thing, right? So this is something custom. So what I will do, I will first create its query profile. To do that, I will just click on add. Let's say maybe I'm giving some name as AWS IP range. Okay. Now if I go here, I need to click on that setting button, right? And this is my new API endpoint, right? So I will click on that API endpoint. I will give some, let's say, uh, IP range endpoint. Okay. I have given this. So if I click next, now this is asking me for the URL or URI from where I need to get the data. Now let's say my source team has told me that use this API endpoint and get the data from there. I'll just click that. And if you see, there are different parameters here. Okay. Auth means authorization. That means a kind of username and password if you want to give. If you see basic auth, if your source team have provided you or created a username and password for you, you can use that. There are other options as well. Bearer token, OAuth or API key value, whatever you feel. Okay. All these things they will provide you. If they say no, connect using key and value pair, you just need to provide this. If they say connect using token, use this. And if you need to connect using username password, they can usually provide this as well. So you
What
need
is
to
the
provide.
username? Actually, like what is the username code here?
In this example,
Yeah.
no. So since this is a free API, we don't have any username and password. But usually when you hit your your client API, then they will provide you the username and password. The way we connect to our
Mhm.
database, right? Or
Okay.
Snowflake.
Normally, like my understanding is correct or not? Let me know. Yeah. Normally, if you provide any endpoint, that JSON file will be resides internally, right? So that
Hmm.
they need to provide access.
Yes, correct. Then to provide access this JSON file. Yeah.
Okay.
Then these are.
In this case, we don't have anything, so that we don't want to create use.
Yeah. This is a free API, right? One of the free API.
Mhm.
That's why there
Okay.
is no. Yeah. Then there are various options. Parameter, if you need to pass any parameter, they are like very JSON specific. These also your source team will provide, because why they will provide, because they know what are the input parameters are expected for their API endpoint. Okay, that's why they will only tell you that provide this as an input parameter, this as an output parameter, like that. Okay.
Parameters
And
like actually like parameters actually I'm not getting actually.
no,
Yeah, how
whatever the parameter, if you need to pass, whatever the parameter that your source team will provide.
normally
Okay.
like how parameters can be existing with
No,
URL.
yeah,
Just now you know.
if you say that just pass a parameter like ID or something like that and put it default, or let's say if they say pass your application name as, let's say, fin within that API. Okay, so we'll just put it this. Okay, if they put application name, so this is their expectation how they have designed the API. Okay.
Normally, like if they have parameters for their API, so are they going to provide username and
Yes,
value, a
yes,
parameter
yes,
name and value?
yes. They will say, right, our API name expect our application name to be fin. Then only it will get executed. So they will say, yes, provide this as an parameter or in the body. Both are same.
Actually, we don't have any parameter right here, like whatever we
No,
are going to.
no. We have very plain IP range. This is a kind of free API, right? So yeah. So if you send it, you will see, yes, few of the data got sampled out, and it says validated the successfully with no errors.
Yeah, how it works, Nitin? Actually, like just we gave that JSON file. Let's assume like that only, right?
This one, right?
Yeah, nothing but reading JSON file here. Here means
Yes, kind of like you can say, okay, this is their S3 location, and you can accessing from that. So their
directly like
JSON
that.
file is racing. Yes,
Yeah, once we click on that send,
uh-huh.
directly we are getting JSON file structure.
Yes, we are getting sample data. So what it is doing when you are sending send, right? Okay, it will hit that API endpoint. Basically,
Mhm,
it will send that request to a API endpoint. It will send
mhm,
authorization if you provided username, password, if you provide any parameters and all. It will
mhm.
send that. Okay, and in the response, yeah. So in the response, you will get the sample data here,
And
not all.
normally, like request can be defined right here, like where we can see request,
Where
like
is request?
service request and service response, right?
Yeah, this is my request, right? Request endpoint.
That is request, okay.
Yeah, and response,
Response.
I'm getting this. This is a sample response which I received.
Exactly, we are getting data like response,
Yes, this is my
getting
data
data,
only, right?
but mhm,
Yeah.
okay. That method is get here left side, endpoint method.
Yes. Get and post. Post means if you want to put something on their endpoint, then you use post.
Okay. What is the scenario like when we can go for post?
No, post usually we don't do because see, we will not have any access to update our source system data,
Hmm.
right? So
So,
usually we don't do.
that we have an endpoint, and what we are what is our motto, like what we are going to do actually,
Okay,
like
yeah, that's a good question. So what we're doing now, as I said, consider that this is my source system and they have provided me this endpoint. Okay.
endpoint. Okay,
Okay. And my client want just to get that data from the endpoint and give me the data in the Snowflake so that I can analyze that data.
the database you meant to
Yeah,
say.
yes, in the Snowflake database. Right. So what we are doing, we are extracting the data from API endpoint and we are storing that into a Snowflake table. That is our scenario.
That is the requirement.
Yes, that is the requirement. Okay. So I'll come back again. What we need to do, as I said, we need to use the API query component. The way we use database query, RDS query, like other component, we need to get the data from API query, API endpoint. We need to use API query component. So what I will do, I will go to project. I need to manage the profiles, right? I need to set what is my API endpoint, what all some different things, right? So I will go to manage profiles, manage query profile. And here I have created one profile name, which is my AWS IP range. Now I will go to setting and I will define my endpoint. Okay. So I will click on that. I will give some name to this. That
No, somewhere else we already given, right?
No, that is a profile name basically.
Hmm?
That is a profile name we are given. So one
Normally
profile,
not now actually, like by querying we give already some kind of endpoint already we give, right?
yeah, no. I just did cancel there basically, just to show you one more time. I'm giving it that IP range endpoint. Okay. Because what will happen now, your one profile can have multiple endpoints. The way, let's say if you see Facebook, it has multiple endpoints, right? These all endpoints. It can get the data for albums, campaigns, business, events, groups, all such, right? So in the IP range, this is my profile. Within that, I will create one endpoint. I'm giving that yes, this endpoint is for IP range. That will give me the IP ranges of AWS.
Yeah, like this endpoint, we need to create through project properties, or
Yes, yes,
you
through
have
project
created
properties.
by using stage that component.
No, no, no. I have not did anything. I'm just setting up my profile now. I'm setting up my requirement. Okay. So I have given this name as a IP range endpoint. And what is my URL to that? Which is provided my source, which is provided by my source team. So you see, this is my
This needs
URL.
to be set through project properties.
Project properties. Yes. So you can set authorization parameters, body response. But if I just click on send, then it will request this API endpoint to get the data. Now it will give
Log,
me some
log. Can you
sample
click
data.
log?
Yeah.
What log shows?
Yeah, this is the log of the API endpoint. What is
Like
so status code 200 means success. So it shows their internal right, whatever the things.
normally, like what are the things we can understand? That is what I'm thinking.
No, no, actually this is again I am not clear on
Like
that part on the API. I mean this
normally
log.
debugging purpose, like they will use kind of log, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, actually, even I cannot understand. Like normally, I'm trying to understand clearly what is the process they will follow, and how reading and writing is possible by
hmm,
ETL kind of thing. I'm
yeah, yeah,
understanding.
yeah.
Sorry,
No,
you know,
this log even
inconvenience.
actually even log actually I'm not much expert on this API endpoint. But what I know is just to get an data from API endpoint, I just need to put my endpoint URL here, just send, and I will get some response. And in the log, status code I know is 200 is that means success. And
Yeah,
rest of these
normally
all the
people will use a curl command, right, to do all the things here. This kind of thing
yes.
out
So
of.
we have that example as well. So the Matillion, so the thing which I was explaining, right? These are Matillion internal API that is just used to manage your project. That will do through curl command. Okay. This is something external, right? I mean, we just need to get the data from AWS.
Amazon. So it is external. That is what we are using endpoint.
Yes.
But if it is internal, by using curl command, we are able to get it. You mean to say?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So let's say if I need an export of my job, I can do that using my curl command using the API endpoint which are provided by Matillion.
Yeah, we'll see that scenario. Okay, bit
Yeah,
confused. Okay,
yeah, yeah. No, see, this
now
is no, no, don't confuse. See, here the simple thing is if you go, in like more and more details, definitely that is going to confuse you because this for the first time that we're working, right? So the
yeah,
first
yeah,
time
that is
what you
what
can
I'm doing.
understand is I have a source system or source application team. They have given one me API endpoint and they have asked me to pull the data from this endpoint to Snowflake. So
Okay,
I'm just configuring this, right? When I
okay.
send it, I get some sample response. When I click next, yes, if you see, I get that similar extract nested data like component. Okay.
This is a JSON structure.
Yes, and these are the columns within the JSON: sync token,
Mhm.
IPv6, PP6, prefixes, and created.
Repeating element. It is showing IPVR
Yeah, so
prefixes.
that's
Repeating
mean
element.
array. If you see, that's an array. There's a repeating element. Okay.
Where it is not repeating, right, inside. Like
No, it
okay.
is it is repeating. It is repeating. If you
Uh-huh.
come back here, if you see, that's an array.
Where is the repeating value here? Repeating kind of column.
Yeah, that you will get when you actually load the data to Snowflake. That level of details you will get when you load the data to
Normally,
Snowflake.
like when we load data, then we could see as a columns and records. So there we could
Yeah.
see easily. I
Yeah. So
agree.
here you will get only these details basically, only these details. So if you again hit this API
Where me, I'm
here.
asking very clear, Nitin. Sorry for that inconvenience.
No, 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 that is fine. But what I'm saying is that some of the things, right, that you are telling or that you are asking, that is not actually possible. Okay. See,
Normally, the thing is actually repeating value also could be available here. Like how to how to understand ourselves. That is what I'm asking. Even if you take XML file also, like same process, right?
yes, yes, everything is same, right? Whatever you will, everything is same. Yeah.
So we are not able to see here.
Yeah.
Array
No,
means
so this access token is created it, right? So you have access token, you have created it, right? So you have these prefixes. Correct. That's also an array. Okay. So see, these prefixes as an array. So all these are your IP prefix. This is an array, right?
It is very important, right, Nitin? Normally they are going to ask interview.
Not much on this part, I would say.
Mhm.
Yeah, not much.
But it is, I could say it is not unstructured data. Normally it
It
is
is
only just
semi-structured.
semi-structured.
JSON is comes under semi-structure.
I mean,
Okay.
actually, like by using big data, like in cloud, they are doing much more, right, with the
Hmm.
number of services. So,
Yes.
kind of service is possible here.
Hmm. Yeah.
Here, here possible or not? I just wanted to know.
Which
Not sure.
services?
Normally, like in cloud, by using big data, they are completely they are doing everything. Like any kind of data, they are making kind of structure and they are sharing it target and all, like by using any cloud.
Hmm.
Let's say
So.
like in Azure, like as I know, just in Azure, Databricks is there, and Synapse Analyticals are there.
Hmm.
So by using like all the services, like internally, they are going to make kind of scripting by using
Hmm.
PySpark and
Hmm.
Python. Like mostly, like everyone, most every client, they are going preferring like this.
Yeah.
So that also kind of ETL functionality only, like
Hmm.
high level.
Hmm. Right. Right. Yeah.
So like by using mostly, like it is also like one of the famous provided for cloud.
Hmm.
So like in cloud, mostly like 60 percentage like they are going for that way.
Hmm.
Like what do you call, instead of only fetching data like normally like old ETL kind of thing,
Hmm.
like they are
Yes,
doing
yes. So
everything.
those, yeah, so those things are possible. As I said, right? So API is one of the advanced thing, right? So
That
we
is
see
what
that
a kind of
we are able to query that API endpoint, right? So that is what it is, correct? So we
this
we
is
are
a
able to query
response
that.
come direct to review.
Yeah.
Everything is done here itself. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So if you just click on finish, just it will just provide you what are the details, whatever you have just set up, right? So
Hmm.
these are details. So now once I click OK, now what is my profile name? IP AWS IP range. So I will go to API query profile. Then I will select my profile name as this one, right? AWS IP range, which I
Hmm.
just created.
Okay. Profile
And
name.
then
What about
my,
name that basic advance?
yeah, this is advanced. That means you can use the query and all. The way we have the other, I will show you first. Yeah, let me just get back to here. Now you see this is my one of the API endpoint, right? Here I have given that URL.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Endpoint
Yeah.
endpoint name, whichever you
Yes.
created.
Yeah. So these were having four columns. So I will select that. And let's say I'm just
Where,
limiting to
where
100
you are
for now.
where you are selecting four columns in which property?
This in the data selection.
Data selection.
Yeah.
Data selection. We need to select all the columns.
Yeah. Whatever you feel. If you don't need this, let's select this. Then I need to give the my target table name, which is my
Normally, like you can give all the columns like without understanding structure, not sure, right? Which one needs to select or
yes.
not.
Yes. Yeah. You can give everything. Let's say I'm storing this into some staging. So let's say stage IP, sorry, stage IP range.
Table
Yeah.
creating directly,
Yes.
randomly creating table.
Yes. Yeah.
Dynamic
And
table we are creating, right?
yes.
Nothing but generating, creating table. Oh, warehouse also here, like and combine filters,
So the
limit.
same thing, basically, if you want to add any specific filter, you can add that, right? The way we query, let's say region equal
Oh,
to west.
normally, even though we can include records from there as okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. And these are the same option, load options, right? I think we have seen in during the RDS query component, right? Clean stage file on, string, recreate target table on, like this, right? So if I simply run it, what it will do, it will fetch the data from that API endpoint.
API, then it is going
Yeah.
to load records into
Into
table.
table. Yeah. So where is that? Yeah, stage IP range. So if I do that, yes, I got that. So I got that right.
Here, service kind of three times request and response. What else, Nitin?
No, yeah, that is what, right? So if I select IP range, run it one more time. So what it is basically doing is it is simply kind of, you can assume that it is this querying that API or hitting that API, and it is getting the data from that API to our Snowflake. Yeah, like this.
Loading data into table.
Snowflake. Yes. And this is the same functionality we have seen with RDS query component, S3 load component, database query component, anything. Right?
Oh, okay, that functionality is different, but here is completely like
Yeah.
it is
So if you
fetching data
select
from
API,
endpoint.
yeah. If you select advanced, you can write your query, whatever you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So select IP,
Filter,
select
filter,
region.
filter.
Yeah, filter. No, you can apply filter with basic as well. If you need to go and you use basic, you can just apply filter here.
Mm-hmm. What the writing query and filter difference? What is the difference?
No, so that is same.
Same. Mm.
Yeah. Right. So this is how you can create your API endpoint or API job.
Normally, what is the source system is going to provide? They are going to provide, for example, like
API
what all
endpoint
the
they will provide the
API
API URL.
endpoint they will provide, and only endpoint they will provide. Like they have any username and password, they will provide.
Yes, yes,
Second
yes.
thing, and the third thing, if they have any parameter and value, they will provide.
Mhm, hmm. That's correct.
Right?
Because see, yeah, we don't know, right? How what all parameters that
Normally, for
yes,
example, normally, as we know, like dealing with a database, as we know,
yeah,
like I know, like only table name can be provided, schema name can be provided,
that's correct.
database name can be provided.
Correct, correct. That is what,
To
right? The
read
way
the data,
source team,
they need to provide a
yes,
pass username and a password and a DB name, DB name,
yes, yes, yeah, that's correct.
username, password, DB
Exactly.
name, and schema name
DB
and
name,
table name.
schema name.
These
Right.
things are mandatory. Like they
Yeah,
to read the data. That is what
read that.
just I'm checking like this.
Correct,
Only
correct.
like parameter value. Like what else they can provide?
No, only these things.
Only the all possible ways. Only these three things only.
Yes.
They will not provide any URL, direct URL. No, right?
No, URL they will provide. This is my API endpoint. Use this API endpoint. They will provide, right? That is the most important thing.
Endpoint is different, right, compared to URL.
No, but we are not hitting the URL, right? We don't need to hit URL. We will hit only
Normally, I am
endpoint.
asking. I am asking. I am asking.
No,
I'm not.
normally
I
they will
don't.
not provide the website URL kind of thing. They will provide the API endpoint to you.
That is enough. We are fetching respective inside the page, maybe, right?
Yes, within that page they have created that API endpoint.
Yeah, for
So we
example,
are
website having 50 pages. If they need a 20th page, they are going to provide a 20th endpoint so that we
yes,
can fetch 20th page data.
yes, yeah. Yeah, internal that application level I don't know, but yeah, that is the thing.
Even no,
Yeah.
normally
No,
just
we are no, we are just
assuming purpose,
assuming these things.
myself understanding to
Yes.
assuming purpose. Just I'm
Yeah.
assuming like this.
Yeah. Right. Right.
In this case,
Yes.
pictures will be there normally in page. Then that case, how it works, not sure.
No. No. I don't have an idea on that part. And see, that is, yeah, whatever you are saying, pages and all, that may not be true, right? If I say yes, yes to yes, yes, that is a page. So you may get some wrong information from my end, right? Right. So that is not the thing. Yeah, that is completely depend on the application team, how they design their website or how they design their endpoint, right?
Normally, if tomorrow, like if I go normally, what they are going to provide, at least I have to know. Okay.
Yeah, they will simply provide API endpoint. The way we get
Yeah.
database name, schema name, table name, they will provide you the
Yeah. Three
API
three
endpoint
things. I am
source.
clear. Very mostly
Yeah,
I am clear. Three things
yeah,
they need to provide:
yes,
endpoint, username and password, and
password and in
parameter
any
value.
parameter that we need to pass. Yes,
If they have. Mhm.
yes. Yeah, yeah. So this is how we can do that. Now let's do this practice one time. Okay. Maybe if you can share your screen. I think Sudha, Dhakan, do you want to practice it now or later?
Yeah, I'll practice. I don't have a laptop.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sure. Oh,
Ramana might be having. He will provide.
Ramana, you have?
Ramana,
Yeah, yeah. 1 second.
Maybe
you
you
can
can
share.
share. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
In AWS, what are the main things, Nitin? Like, for example, dealing with
Nitin, can
the
you ping me that
Yes, yes.
endpoint URL?
Yeah, yeah. Let's start from the scratch, Ramana.
Okay, sure, sure.
Slide that. Yeah, so
Ramana
then
is
you will
very speed.
understand.
Already he has done everything.
No, no.
Just do cancel. Maybe you can delete that or create a new one. That S3 endpoint, right? It's not S3 endpoint. You can delete it. On the right side, you see that cross symbol X. Yeah, delete it for now. Now, OK. Click on OK. Now, first thing what we'll do, we'll set up our API endpoint, right? Username, password if we have API endpoint. So go to manage API
Yes.
profiles and manage query profiles. Yeah. Now here click on plus, give some name. Let's say AWS hyphen API. Let's say that because API, AWS can provide you multiple API or your source team, right? So AWS API, let's say, yes, IP.
AWS API.
Yeah. And click OK. Yeah. Click OK. Then click on that setting at the top, AWS API. Yeah. Now we'll add one and endpoint here, right? So give some name. Let's say this is for IP range, right? I mean, using this
Ramana
endpoint,
endpoint.
we will get the IP range. So AWS IP range.
IP range.
Yeah, IP range. Yes, and then yeah. Then click next. Now I have pinged the URI in the chat box, so you can copy. I mean, Sudhakar, you can also keep it for your reference.
Yeah.
Right now, authorization, we don't have any username, password, we don't have any parameters. We just still click on send because these are free API, right? So it is free to use. So this is how I will get this API, right? Now, yeah, so that is a kind of the structure of my table will look like. Sync token, prefixes, and created it. Okay. Now create next. I mean, click on
Like
next.
this thing is by default, it is going to create anything. This thing.
Yes. Yes.
We don't want to worry on that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to do kind of selection and all. No, right?
Correct. So the way we did that extract nested data component in our previous example, right? By getting the data from that weekly expense JSON, we did autofill.
Flatten
So it is
thing.
doing, yeah, flatten the thing. So it is just doing
Yeah.
that only. It is
Like
autofilling that.
everything is happening here itself.
Yes.
Like already, like it is,
Here we are
so,
actually defining kind of a table structure of that API. You can say that, right?
normally what I could feel, like already it is populating kind of columns and rows by using this profile itself.
Yes. Yes. That's correct. Now click OK. Now click OK. Now create a new orchestration job. Add orchestration job. Maybe let's say query API profile
Transformation
something.
job not required.
No, no, no. To get any external data, we need to use the orchestration job. Query API. Yeah. Then yeah, click OK. Yes, switch to job. Type in the API query profile in the component. API query, something like that. Yeah, select your API query. And here now, whatever the API that we have created, we need to select that, right? So in the profile, we give AWS something name, right? AWS API, yes. And that's source, data source. We have created one API endpoint, which is,
Endpoint.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is an API endpoint, where we have given that URL or URI.
So this is a profile is the group name. I mean, this
Correct.
can have multiple
Multiple
sources.
APIs. Yes, multiple
Okay.
sources. Yeah. Now let's say for now select all. Click OK. Now scroll down. If you want to give any filter, we can. But yeah, for now let's give some name, target table name. Yeah, give a name, maybe IP range, IP underscore range. Yeah. And
AP underscore table.
yeah, right. Then click OK. Yeah, we can give it anything. Now here staging area, I'm select the this one. Yeah, your MTL. So basically it will temporarily create this file on this S3 location and it will delete it once the execution is done.
Okay. This should be our S3 external stage, right?
Yes, yes. We can use
But
Snowflake internal stage as well. So the
Okay.
staging,
Actually, like why it is required,
yeah.
Nitin?
So if you remember when you worked on the RDS query component, right? As I said, that what it does is with any kind of this external component, what it will do basically, it will first fetch the data from the API endpoint. It will store that temporarily in some temporary file. Okay. Now where to store that temporary file? That location we are giving. That store on in that S3 bucket. And once that file is stored on that temporary location, it will use the copy command to load that file to Snowflake. So that's why it is need that some temporary location to store that file.
But
Okay.
we have file names and all we are not at all giving, right?
No, it will internally, we can give that. So if you click OK here, within that
Yeah.
load option, if you remember, yeah, click OK or cancel. Yeah, in
Yeah.
the go to load option, we have that file prefix name, right? If you want to give that file prefix,
Load
there,
option. This is
yeah, here you can give your file prefix name. But yes,
okay.
those
So
files are only for temporary purpose. Once the loading is finished, they will get cleaned up.
can we see this
So
location? Can we go at least or not?
Uh, yeah, we can check, but yeah, for now, I mean, that's the same thing that if you have, paid attention during that RDS query component, right? So this we already have discussed, right? These are the same options there, right? If you click on this clean stage file off, yeah, do that off for now and give
okay.
some file prefix that API underscore API and give underscore. Yeah, click OK. Wait. Go to that load option and select compression type as none. The last option, ZZ, because we will not able to see that file, right? Yeah, so none. Click OK. So basically, that S3 location is used temporarily to store that data, which is read from the API endpoint. And once that data gets stored in that file, okay, what it will do? Yes, no, Matillion will run the copy command and it will load that file to Snowflake. Okay. Yeah, open your Snowflake workbench. You have that at the, yeah. Go go to Matillion once. Yeah. No, so first go to Matillion. We need to run the job. Wait.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, go to that component first. Yeah. So here we have set up that our API endpoint and our Snowflake table detail, right? To which
Okay.
Snowflake table I need to roll. Now right click it and run it.
One second. What did I give the table name?
Yeah, table name you have given. Yeah, stage IP range, right? Yeah, that table will get created. So
Yes.
run job, right click and run job. Yeah. Some sample 100 record it has loaded. Now just do refresh here on the demo on this screen. Yeah, expand your demo DB public. No, there only demo DB public. Then search that IP range. Scroll at the bottom. It will be at the bottom. Yeah, stage
Yeah.
IP range.
It is there.
Right
I
click.
come. Yeah.
Yeah, click again. Query it. Now you have to select your database and schema in the default window. Yeah, either you need to select that.
here like data types and all we did not define anything, right? Variant is internal to Snowflakes and all.
Correct. Yeah. Give it in
Okay.
double quotes
Yeah.
because that was created using the
Okay.
no. Yeah, using case sensitive. Give that in double quotes. Yeah, data types and we don't need to worry about.
Normally, previous class, previous while reading JSON, we defined a variant is internal to
Yeah,
Snowflake.
correct.
No, here, Sudhakar, here API endpoint already flatten
Already,
our query to structured format.
yes.
So hence we don't need that format.
These things data types normally like we can give one, right? We should give how what is data types, can you see once? Can you check data type same table?
Yeah, the data type.
Table
So
See,
go to
if you are seeing, okay, on worksheet.
yeah, go to that worksheet. Click on that stage IP range on the left side. You see that stage IP range table name on that Explorer, right? No, your table name, right? Stage
Yeah,
IP
yeah,
range. Yeah, click on that. It just click on that table. Don't lean. Yeah, you see at the bottom the columns, right? These are varchar.
all are there care.
Yeah. So it automatically detects what is the best possible data type. But if you have to change that, you can change it. You can simply alter this table and give it some whatever you feel.
Normally,
so
like in JSON variant, that data type supports for JSON file.
Yeah.
Like variant is not taken here. Like in that
Yes.
example, might be. Can we see variant data type?
No. Ramana mentioned that we have already flattened this here.
Yeah, this
Our
agree.
query
This agree.
component is already
This
flattened. Yeah.
API agree.
Yes.
Normally, I am asking this API agree. Variant is the internal data type for JSON files to reading or writing. So variant data type can be defined at target level. No, not required. Might be. Huh?
Yes. Yeah. It is not required in this case, right? Yeah. Okay. So this is how we pull the data from an API endpoint. Maybe can I share back?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you can practice it later. Now the way now, yeah, I think now you must have got some clarity on what is the exactly the API. That means it will
What
give
are the
some me.
all the scenarios possible, Nitin, in this case? Normally, what is the challenge? Like, for example, if they ask any challenge, then to elaborate, in this way, like, for example, I have done so and so complex thing like that, if I choose like API stuff, then
Mhm.
like, what is the challenge by using this Matillion, like, you also done,
No,
right? What we can explain?
not much. As usually your any API will have very less data. Okay, so because API endpoint is something we are hitting that API endpoint, right? Or the you can say that URL kind of thing, right?
Agree, Nitin. Normally,
Yeah,
for support purpose, I'm asking, as if you can understand me.
yeah. At
But I'm
least
asking
I have
actually,
not faced any challenge. I have worked on this one API, but it was having only
like if
1,000
we, if we
records.
if we say
Yeah.
like that, like this is API, people also, they also not much familiar on this. So like if I take this topic, mentioning kind of challenge and kind of complexity, like I need to provide a question and answer. I need to provide. I need to like I need to make them initially challenge, then need to provide solution, right? Kind of scenario like, can you please like
Yeah,
help us?
no, so you can just say that yes, we were need to get the data from one of the source, but they were not giving us access to their transactional database because there was a transactional database. So they had one API endpoint, so they asked us to fetch the data from API endpoint. You can see that since that was a new thing, so that was a kind of a little small table you can say, okay, or the we were expecting very small data, so they then we had created that API endpoint. We had created that what we say. Um, we had created that API profile and we had created that API endpoint and all. And yeah, we use that username and password as an authentication method. And using API query profile, we were able to get the data. Right. So as a
Normally,
challenge
this
is
is
right now, I
process.
don't. Yeah, as a challenge, I know I have not worked much on that, so I may not be able to answer that.
Now, for example, like, can we get an endpoint by using URL kind of thing? Actually, even though they are not providing proper details, can
No,
we
no, they
get,
will they will always provide. They will always provide.
uh
There is no way to get an API endpoint from a URL. They will always provide you an API endpoint, right? The way they provide source database detail, right? Source database API endpoint is nothing but you can say JDBC URL kind of thing, right? They will provide you JDBC URL.
agree,
Yeah,
agree. Like,
yeah.
I wanted
So
to go
it is not
like,
something that we will not able to get the API endpoint from the data your website or something. They will have to provide.
for example, like in this case, actually, for example, normally, in my source, I have like columns and rows. I need to convert columns into rows into columns, columns into rows.
Hmm.
Might be scenario. uh, that kind of that scenario, like if we implement in API, okay, let's assume like that we have a requirement kind of thing, like kind of thing, then we can make some complex, right? Reaching that scenario.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can design any scenario, right, using API.
Mhm.
Whatever you feel. Yeah.
Pivot normally that pivot functionality, like including for this API, while like anyway we are populating data properly, column wise and
Sudhakar,
record wise.
yeah, Sudhakar,
Right.
actually, if you want to do that task right, you get it whatever they provide in the format, you get it load in your Snowflake,
Snowflake.
and
Yeah.
then use Snowflake inbuilt functions like you saying pivoting,
Pivot
unpivoting,
and yeah.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Snowflake pivot. You can use that Snowflake pivot function. Yeah. Yeah. But the API is just to get the data from its endpoint, right? So once you get the data in your Snowflake, you can play with that. You can do anything with that, right? Whatever you feel.
Okay. Like what are the main, like are they going to use mostly like only to load the data into table from API, or some
Yes,
kind of
yes. Yeah. So see,
populating XML
API,
file also?
no, so API is a very kind of a lightweight thing, right? So it's not to load your billions of data or billions of rows. So usually you cannot fetch the billions of rows or data the way we do it using the database, right? Because
Nitin, sorry
uh
to interrupt. Do you have anything to cover for today?
yes, just one last point we have. We'll cover that quickly. Maybe we can take that and so Sudhakar, I would say that you would practice this, and if you have any question, then you can come back. Okay, it's not that once the session is over, I will not be available. But yeah, you can just ping me or chat on the group. I would say, chat on the group so that everyone also understand that, what exactly you are trying, right? So if someone have already tried, they can answer you, or otherwise they will also get to know the new scenario, whatever you are trying, right? So we can, discuss that as well sometime. So last thing, the way we'll just cover this short, as I said, like this very huge topic on the Matillion API. You can
Can we
see the
discuss
way.
tomorrow anything? Can we discuss tomorrow?
No, so actually tomorrow I am not available. Starting tomorrow for next. Actually, I'm going on some vacations for next 5 days.
How many days? 5 days, huh? Okay.
Yeah. For five
Okay.
days.
Other
That's
classes
why.
also off. Other classes also no.
Yeah, no, there is no. Yeah, so everything is done actually. So I completed all. So for the next, I mean, almost for 5 to 6 days, I'm not available.
Yeah. When you will be available? 22nd,
Next week, mid of next week.
23, oh, 16th.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
23.
yeah. But if you have any
Okay.
small doubts, you can ping me or WhatsApp. That's not an issue.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the way we have this endpoint, right, that will get me the data, right, for the IP ranges. So I can have any endpoint which Matillion has actually designed for me. Okay. So now let's say Matillion is a kind of a source system for me or source team, right? And they have created their own API. And what they are saying now, let's say they are saying that if you need an export of your job, hit this API. Okay, I mean just keep this part as this is my URL. Just keep. So what they are saying is to export a job. Now you can just try to understand first, and then if you have any question, you can ask. Okay. So what they are trying to say that if you need to export any particular job, right? So what level of hierarchy I have in my Matillion? So in Matillion, I have one my project group. Within that, I have project. Correct? Within that project, I have version. And within that version, I have my job. Correct? That is my hierarchy. Right? Project within the project group. Within that project group, I have my project. Within that project, I have my version. And with that version, I have my that particular job. Right? So if you see the hierarchy here, what they are saying, so group name. So this is my project group name. Then project name, this is my project name, mtlsf. Then go to your version, that is default version. Go to your job and then write an export command there. That is my API endpoint. Okay. So similarly, let's say, uh, let's say if I go to group API, yeah. So you will understand here more. So see, this is my basic API endpoint, REST v1. Okay. So REST v1. After that, what I have? Group. So group is this. I have group, I have driver, I have credentials, I have audit, I have API profile, I have everything like task, shared job and all. So this is my notes. Let's say currently let's concentrate on this, then you will understand all of